Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 43 of the Immigration Lawyers Podcast, covering news, events, and commentary from May 29th, 2017 to June 4th, 2017. Sorry for the day delay. I'm in Las Vegas right now, checking in on the hotel. So I'm doing this recording in Las Vegas outside the office. Thanks for joining in. We're going to jump into it, talk about some fun stuff for this week.
Welcome to the Immigration Lawyers Podcast. I am the host, Attorney John Khosravi, and I practice U.S. immigration law exclusively. For more information about the program, please visit www.immigrationlawyerspodcast.com. Please note that this recording is informational only and does not constitute legal advice. Please consult with a licensed attorney for specific legal guidance that suits your case. Also, this recording is copyrighted and written permission is required for rebroadcasting. For more information about me, please visit www.jqqlaw.com.
I wanted to start off with something to talk about the importance of having an immigration lawyer. There's obviously the difficult, complicated legal issues that pop up, but there's other stuff that come up which clients wouldn't expect, especially for simple cases where they would think like, oh, I don't need an immigration attorney to help me out, but it comes out necessary. These are three different types of cases that came up where the people just didn't think immigration attorney was necessary, and it seems like it wasn't necessary and it was a costly thing, but look at the types of mistakes that happen. I had one client contact me, actually had a consultation last year to file for his parents' green cards. Parents were from Iran. And in that case, he decided to go file himself. Now, on the I-130, there's a location where you specify which embassy you want to use for consular processing. Well, these were left blank for each of the parents, mother and father. So when the I-130 was approved, sent to the embassy and everything, they chose the embassies for the parents. Well, they chose the mother to go to Armenia, the father to go to Abu Dhabi in the Emirates. And so now they have to get two separate tickets, then two hotels, and two different trips to do their consular processing. Client wanted to have them go at the same time, which makes sense. Parents going together, not have to duplicate the documents, the originals, and all the extra additional work that's necessary. Well, client contacted Armenia. Armenia said, we're too busy, we can't transfer new cases there. As usual, the Emirates is not really responsive, so they haven't contacted them back, and they're contacting me to get help. Now, obviously, the client did the I-130, it worked out. It's for a parent. They did it, but that small mistake they did now is costing them probably as much as it would if they had paid me the legal fees, not paying to hotels and extra translations and doubling the documentation that's necessary. So these are the kind of reasons why immigration attorney is necessary. Another one is the person filed for naturalization on their own, finished everything, did the application, the interview, everything went well. The officer, for some reason, decided to initiate a name change for the client because she had been divorced to go back to her maiden name. Had her sign all the documents to change her name. She goes to the oath ceremony, swears the oath, officially changes the name. A couple months later, realizes, oh, I changed my name legally and didn't even realize it. Well, if she had an attorney there, she could say, hey, before signing this, make sure you know what you're signing. Don't just blindly sign anything that they give you. Now she has to go to court, get a judge to do a name change hearing, and that's going to have a bunch of fees and stuff associated with it. Even in that case, if I was with the client, because of the language skills, I would probably say I need to come with you to the interview. But a lot of times I don't go to the interview for naturalization cases with the clients because I don't think the issues exist that would require me to be there. But now seeing this, it just really shows to me I shouldn't make these things optional. You need to have representation whenever you have a dealing with the government because you don't know what kind of mistakes are happening. The third case that I got a call about was a gentleman, got a green card, had work outside the U.S. In the United Kingdom, left for 2 years, now wants to come back. They might have difficulties. They're worried. I'm like, well, CBP can give you troubles because you've been outside the country for more than a year. Your work is outside. Your ties to the U.S. are low. This could have been solved if he had simply just applied for a reentry permit before he left. And now that he didn't, the issue is there that potentially they could take away the green card for abandonment. So these are really simple issues. Really a simple consultation with an attorney could solve some of them. But they decided not to do that and it created a lot of problems. But just want to give you a heads up, some ammo to work with. If you feel bad about charging a consultation fee or taking out certain cases, always remember, people will do mistakes that are terrible. So it's worth every dollar to save them the time and the hassle of fixing it later for them to do it right now. And so that's where our jobs are really, really important. Now let's jump into the news. There's a couple of interesting things that happened. One is, word on the street is they've been reopening administratively closed cases in immigration court, which is very stressful if you had a client who had admin closure and thought they were free and clear. These things are coming back. Another thing is they've instituted a new visa supplement form DS 5526, I believe it is. I might be incorrect. where they're asking a lot more information, obviously a lot from the Middle Eastern countries, about sibling and family history, about travel history, very specific, like where you've been, how long you've been there, source of funds, what were you doing there, social media information, all your social media handles, work history for 15 years, which is very annoying for people to do if they work at various different places. They also want addresses for extended period of time, which is already on the Form DS-260, but they've gotten more into questioning people a lot more about their backgrounds and the details of their history. Another thing that happened, a couple of court cases. One is the Ninth Circuit ruled that the habitual drunkard issue for moral character is valid and could continue for the naturalization situation. So people with alcoholism really need to hire an immigration attorney to prep them. They need to go to AA, go to show counseling, all this kind of stuff to show they're not a habitual drunkard anymore. The Supreme Court had an interesting case where a gentleman had sex with what's considered minor in his state. Time was, I think, over 16 but under 18. Under the state statute, that was a felony. But and they were going to go to deportation. Supreme Court said on the federal level, long and short of it is statutory rape doesn't include people above, I think 16 is the age. The actual state said 18 and under, but the federal regulations say 16 and under. Because I guess the person, the victim here was 17, and that wouldn't apply to them. So somehow they were saved from deportation on a federal level. So that was an interesting case. I don't really deal with cases that have criminal issues, but it was something worth talking about. Now, the State Department, Department of State, has been issuing new visa statistics for March and April, and it's a very interesting thing. They issue what types of visas were issued, mostly non-immigrant visas, to each country and each embassy what type of visas they issue. So it's interesting to see what kind of visas people from certain countries are getting, so it's worth look at that list. Another end, it helps you see what kind of experience certain embassies have. So for example, I was looking at E2s for Dubai, and there's only one done in the last month. But in Istanbul, there was like 50. Yerevan, there's 4 or 5. So I was surprised to see more E2 visas being done in Armenia rather than the United Arab Emirates. So it shows maybe those officers there have more experience with it. They don't need to renew and redo the book and study it to know what's up. They just have this system where they've done it before. That could be for better or for worse, but it gives you understanding of what's going on. The other aspect of it is seeing which countries get what types of visas. Gives you a better perspective for how they're handling those type of cases and for marketing purposes, to know how much it's worth to focus doing certain type of marketing for a certain type of visa for a certain country. If you're seeing those country, people from those countries aren't getting those type of visas anyways, if it's worth it or not. There was also a case, a federal case that's been filed regarding I-526 EB-5 initial filing that was delayed for many years, eventually denied. It was the Iranian case, denied for source of funds issue. The applicant filed suit saying, no, there's more to it. We provide all the source of funds we need, and that there are other reasons why this happened. The child aged out too, so that's unfair. We'll see what happens with that. But USC is pretty strict with source of funds, so I haven't seen the documentation of that I-526, but you got to be pretty clean with the I-526 source of funds paperwork. I just sometimes don't take on cases for EB-5 if the client can't provide a clear source of funds, because I don't want to file a case, take all these legal fees, and 2 years get it denied. The client's going to want to kill me, and I would want to kill my attorney too if they didn't prep it right. So unless someone's got a spotless source of funds, and it's hard when you're dealing with Middle Eastern countries and just generally countries that don't keep documentation and taxation documents like we do in the U.S. I had a client from Vietnam who owed hundreds of thousands of dollars, and he just got it in cash and kept it under his bed. I'm like, how are we going to document this? So he's like, okay, let's file the I-526. A year and a half from now, I'm going to go through the regular transfer methods for my company so I can document the source of funds. I say, okay, that was lucky because the person was willing to wait. Most people aren't like that. So that's the big news that's happening in immigration right now. But a couple of just practical stuff. I've been getting marriage-based immigration, marriage case, green card cases in the Los Angeles field office interview set up 3 months after filing, which is pretty fast. I always expect to be more. Really, the average last year was like 3.5 months, but I always tell clients be prepared for more because things happen. But I have 2 interviews I filed in February. Now they're having the interviews this week. So that was relatively fast. However, like my Las Vegas cases are taking many, many months, hitting 6 months now. So marriage green card case, Vegas, double LA. Naturalization cases are pretty much taking much longer than last year. Again, in Vegas, it takes longer. But in Los Angeles, it's taking at least like 5 or 6 months to get the appointment, if not more. So I'd love to hear your field office is practically what kind of things you're seeing, what kind of timetables, especially San Francisco. I haven't filed a marriage case there in a while, so I don't know the times. And I have potentially another case. I'd love to know that in San Francisco field office, how you're dealing with processing times and across the country. If you could shoot me an email, info@jqklaw.com, just saying, just quick, like, DC, the 5 months marriage case or something. I'd love to get this information anecdotally and spread it out, just so we have a better idea of how processing is really happening in the field offices. Now, that takes care of a lot of stuff I wanted to talk about with regards to the news and practice and what I've been thinking about with regards to immigration law. But then the personal stuff I like to talk about, and hopefully you guys enjoy it as well, is just thoughts I have about making a better practice and better personal life, whereas what we do. There's two thoughts. One is, I was just thinking about what we do, and I filed a couple of marriage cases this week, and the phrase "bringing order to chaos" came in mind, because when I do a marriage case, people just dump all this information, data in front of me, and it's all organized all over the place. It's my job to really put that in an organized format and bring order to it so that USCIS could easily review it and approve it. And I've seen cases that have had problems and delays and potential denials when they filed on their own. The case was good, but it was so chaotic that when it went before the officer for adjudication, it was really hard to spot what situation was. And problems or issues would pop up, but because they wasn't properly organized, it was hard for the officer to find the answers on their own. And sometimes the client goes to interview on their own, they're unable to answer. And they might be afraid or get emotional or take offense to certain things and not respond properly. So for no reason, chaos breeds more chaos. So our job is to bring order to chaos. And that kind of goes to the stuff I talked about at the beginning of the podcast about these examples of people not doing the best job on their own, is because, that chaos continues. They didn't have a person to bring order to it. Now, not every immigration attorney is going to do the best job. Maybe the people do better on their own. I've had a case where a person did it so well on their own, I was just kind of like, wow, you pretty much did it. You don't need an attorney. But that's rare for them to be that thorough to go over everything. I even had a case where people came to me, and I don't like doing this, giving advice on a prepped case on like what the issues are, because I haven't been able to study myself. But a person came, attorney, asked a question or two, and they were easy, so I answered them. And then he emailed back and called back, are you sure, are you sure, are you sure? Like, his self-doubt caused me to almost have self-doubt, but I knew what the situation was. I've done a million of these kind of cases. But it's all over the place. It's just better to take control of it and then do all the work from the beginning to end on your own to avoid problems. Now, I've told you about a book I've been reading. It's a very famous book. Many of you have probably read it, called How to Win Friends and Influence People. But there's a sentence read in the 4th chapter, I believe I'm reading, that was very interesting. It kind of goes to what I'm doing here about sharing information, trying to help, and just being open about all this stuff and how it pays back. The quote is this: "The world is full of people who are grabbing and self-seeking. So the rare individual who unselfishly tries to serve others has an enormous advantage. He or she has little competition." And that's the thing. If you're able to help people by doing YouTube videos to talk about how to figure out immigration stuff yourself, how to do a practice better yourself, do a podcast, do articles, anything you can do. You can look at it as marketing, but you can also look at it as helping people, because it's, as I said, it's not much competition out there. So you really stand out beyond the rest of doing that. One program I'm starting, and I've talked about before, about helping pro bono attorneys, non-immigration attorneys, find people and get educated on the immigration court process and help people who don't have representation, is going forward. Unfortunately, it's been slow. I've been busy and sick, but a lot of people are coming in. One of our viewers, Sherry D, from the East Coast, let's say, contacted me. She wants to help start that program over there. I was really happy to see the energy and enthusiasm involved. And so I'm contacting a lot of non-immigration attorneys to get them on board so they could do the preparation. And I'm trying to fix it where the people educating and the people I know in Los Angeles do it, to try to do maybe online so people nationally could take part, hear about it nationally, and then hook them up with the various communities there that have these individuals that require pro bono representation. And so, that there isn't much competition on the ground, dude. There's a lot of, pro bono organizations, but on our practice end, this seems like the system I'm setting up is kind of new, because I'm adding a different layer of a private practitioner, bringing in non-immigration lawyers to do this and actively helping it. That adds a little bit of extra nuance to it. One worry was that having people that don't practice immigration go to immigration court. You hear me complain a lot about people who don't know what they're doing in immigration, helping others. But when it comes to the fact that a person might not at all have immigration help in court, the immigrant might not have any counsel. It's better to have some counsel than none. And the goal is really to have the training that happens and potentially a caseworker that can follow up and be a resource and a mentor to guide them through that so the client gets the best representation. But at this point right now, where you have people that don't have any lawyers going into court, I prefer to have a dedicated, enthusiastic, litigator or transactional attorney that does do immigration. It's purely coming into it to help to be there, rather than not having someone there or them going to find a low-cost immigration attorney. That the low cost is because it's low service and low skill and low experience. That's not any way to help either. So I think it's something pursuing. If you have any thoughts about this, if you want to get involved or have any ideas, please email me and let me know. info@jqqlaw.com. Love to talk to you about it. To get this program started, it's going to be slow to get the wheel rolling, but I think once it's up and running, it's going to be a big program and can help a lot of people. So if you know non-immigration lawyers, if you know centers that do training on this stuff, and this is through all the states, all the cities of America, because these things are happening everywhere, not just in Los Angeles. It's a great way to put it together. If you're listening from a pro bono organization and you want to get involved in your city or your state, or just contact me to talk about it, please do. I think it's a very noble thing to get this program started to help people that don't have representation get the representation they need, because that is the essence of America. Humans and individuals, citizens and non-citizens alike being able to come against the giant monster that is the government and be able to defend themselves in that arena when they go to court. That's really part of the essence, the fabric of our society and of the legal relationship people have with the government of the U.S., whether citizens or non-citizens, to be able to properly represent themselves and use the laws and protections that are there to be able to defend themselves. So anything we can do as lawyers, that comes part of what our job title is, not only just doing like for money or for pay, but it is to defend the rights of individuals and the legal system that exists, the rule of law. And anything we could do on that philosophical level that comes out practically is something we just have to do. In one sense, it's helping people. In one sense, helping the country. And in all seriousness, it's something that preserves our right to practice and to make a living. I remember a couple of years ago, there was in Pakistan, the U.S. and Pakistan are pretty much diminishing the rule of law, just bombing people away, no rights and everything. And the lawyers went to the streets in suits and started complaining. They say, listen, there's rule of law here, it's due process, we didn't do this. Now, nothing happened there, and they were pretty much lost out, so their job kind of goes away. But same thing here. I don't hear the various legal groups, bar organizations, and stuff talking about protecting the rights of individuals on all avenues that has been encroached by government authorities. We really need to push back to preserve our job positions and the rights of Americans, and everything we could do to that is just part of our nature as U.S. people, U.S. citizens doing these kind of jobs. We have to do it. So whether it's in the immigration field, whether it's free speech, or whatever it is, we have to defend these rights to protect our livelihood and protect our society. So if we could get some immigrants here that might even be illegally here, representation to push back when there is encroachment, that's something that needs to be done. And there's even cases where people are U.S. citizens being held in ICE detainer for 3 weeks until they can be cleared up. These situations can't happen. We can't force U.S. citizens to walk around with papers. In the Constitution, it says we have free right of movement from state to state. They intentionally do this to help the markets in the states evolve. But if we have to go to a situation where a U.S. citizen has to constantly carry paperwork and explanations and be afraid of being picked up because of the way they look and being held, that's an abomination, and it does away with everything America stands for. So as attorneys, we have to do our duty to just go past our practice and our clients, but to defend the rights and the rule of law and the system we've designed. So I already went on that rant, but that's something that's very important to me from a political perspective that we have to do. So any little thing we can do to help, or any emails you have to talk about me, and please email me if you have thoughts and questions, info@jqqlaw.com. This is the Immigration Lawyers Podcast for May 29th to June 4th. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, have a great week. Bye-bye.